thought moving to the suburbs would be peaceful, until Karen decided my emotional support cat was a violation of community aesthetics and shot her in broad daylight. Yep, you read that right, she shot my cat in the front yard while I was watering the hydrangeas. Let's rewind a second. Her name is Karen, well, technically Geraldine, but trust me, she earns that capital K. She's the self-appointed queen of the HOA, ruler of mailboxes, master of parking spot citations, and apparently amateur sniper. Her victim, Luna, my registered emotional support cat. A literal prescription on pause. Quiet, sweet, never left our lawn, never bothered anyone. Until one sunny Tuesday, I'm outside, watering the flowers. Luna is lounging like the feline queen she is, and I hear a pop. Potential forward. That ain't car backfire. A very distinct, air-compressed pop. Then I hear a soft thump. I turn and see Luna twitching on the grass. At first I think she's playing. Then I see the small red dot on her side. Then the BB gun. In Karen's hands. She's standing on the sidewalk like Clint Eastwood with a grudge, squinting at Luna's motionless body like she just protected the neighborhood from a wild jungle beast. I scream, I run. Luna's not moving. Karen lowers her weapon and says, dead serious, "Your cat was trespassing. No pets allowed. You knew the rules." If you've ever had a neighbor from hell, hit that like button and tell me your story in the comments. Because this was war. I called the cops, obviously. Erin didn't even run. She just waited for them, rifle propped against her hip like she was ready for HOA Call of Duty. The officer takes one look at the scene. Me sobbing, Luna still, a tiny red hole in her fur, and says, "Ma'am, did you shoot the animal?" "Karen, it's not an animal, it's a cat, and I warned her." "Warned me? Like we're in some kind of HOA Hunger Games?" Paperwork. I pull out Luna's paperwork, officially registered, doctor, singed, laminated even, proving she's a federally protected emotional support animal under the Fair Housing Act. Karen, she waves it off. The HOA handbook says no roaming animals. That includes therapy cats. It's for hygiene. Hygiene? Lady, your poodle pees on the mailbox twice a week. Luna didn't make it. She passed before we got her to the vet. Cause of death, internal bleeding from a direct BB shot to the ribs. And Karen, the cops took her statement and let her go. You know why? Because she claimed she was enforcing HOA policy, and technically BB guns aren't fire. The audacity. I spent the rest of that day staring at Luna's empty food bowl, wondering how we got here. All I'd wanted was peace and quiet. All Luna wanted was a sunny patch of grass. And now I was holding a cat collar instead of a cat. But here's the thing about grief. It's fuel. And Karen just lit a wildfire. I opened Facebook, posted a photo of Luna, described exactly what happened. Name, names, address, HOA chapter, and ended the post with, "If she thinks she can get away with this, she picked the wrong cat, Mom." Within an hour, I had 300 comments. By midnight, the post had 9,000 shares. By morning, I was getting interview requests. And Karen was about to learn that HOA might rule the neighborhood, but the internet rules the world. By the time I'd poured my morning coffee, the internet had already declared war on Karen. I had DMs from people in 4 countries. Someone from Australia offered to ship over a kangaroo for neighborhood defense. A retired lawyer messaged me asking for the HOA's legal bylaws just for fun. And a teenager in Ohio sent me fan art of Luna wearing aviator goggles with the caption, "She died fighting like a legend." I wasn't just grieving, I was going viral. Karen, however, did what Karens do. She doubled down. She released a statement in the HOA newsletter like this was the White House, and she was defending national security. While unfortunate, the enforcement of community rules remains paramount. Pet violations must be taken seriously to maintain the hygiene, tranquility, and shared values of Meadow Creek Estates. Yes, she used the word hygiene again. This is the same woman who lets her husband mow the lawn shirtless while drinking warm Pepsi and blasting Leonard Skinnerd from a Bluetooth speaker. But sure, tranquility. I couldn't let it slide. I started posting daily updates at Justice for Luna. I shared clips of her playing fetch. Yes, fetch. Her certificate as an ESA. Her sitting calmly in her carrier while I had panic attacks at the DMV. One of the videos got over 4 million views in 2 days. Pulitzers reposted it. Celebrities commented. Someone on TikTok made a remix of Karen's HOA statement, auto-tuned to a sad violin. It was called "No Pets, No Peace." I cried laughing, then cried for real. His grief doesn't care if you're trending. It just hits when it wants. Then came the interview. Channel 5 News. Full camera crew on my lawn. Me in a sweater I hadn't taken off in 3 days. The reporter was one of those smile-too-much types. "Oh, we're so sorry. Can you tell us how this has affected you?" And I did. I told them everything. And when they asked what justice looked like, I said, "Justice is her being held accountable. Justice is no other person ever having to bury their Isa because of a neighborhood bully with a BB gun." They aired it that night. Karen's house got egged before sunrise. I don't condone it, but I also didn't clean it. Now, here's the kicker. Turns out Karen didn't even have the authority to enforce pet rules. Some internet sleuth discovered that the HOA's no pet clause was unenforceable, expired in 2012, and had been grandfathered in only by tradition. Translation? Her little law book was about as legal as a Cracker Jack decoder ring. That went viral too. And when I say viral, I mean my inbox exploded with people from other HOAs begging for advice. I became the unofficial mascot of anti-HOA energy. Even my ex texted me. "You kind of famous and kind of scary now. Respect." I left him on red. Then came the protest. Oh yeah. He organized the first ever Pet Parade for Justice right on Meadow Creek's main road. Hundreds showed up. There were cats in strollers, dogs in tutus. One brought a pig named Beyonce. I walked in front, holding Luna's vest on a pillow. Behind me, a banner that read, "Her life mattered, her death won't be ignored." Karen watched from her window, face pressed to the glass like she was the last boss in a video game we were all about to beat. Honestly, it was glorious. And just when I thought I'd seen the peak of internet power, an animal rights nonprofit reached out. They wanted to cover my legal fees. They wanted to help file an animal cruelty charge against Karen. And they were very interested in a civil suit too. At that moment I realized Karen didn't just mess with my cat. She messed with the wrong era. This wasn't 1993. She wasn't going to win with newsletters and HOA bake sale authority. This was the age of public shaming, digital receipts, and cat lovers with Wi-Fi. And I was just getting started. When Karen got served with legal papers, you could practically hear the HOA tremble. The process server rang her doorbell dressed like a UPS Karen opened the door, smiled, and then her face dropped like someone told her the whole town was switching to solar panels and banning front lawns. She held the envelope like it was radioactive. Inside, criminal complaint for animal cruelty, civil lawsuit for emotional damages and harassment, a printout of Luna's ESA certificate, just for flair. Meanwhile, I was busy planning my court look. You think I'm joking? No. I tried on 17 blazers. I practiced my restrained but righteous tone in the mirror. I even got new glasses. Not because I needed them, because I wanted to look like I wrote laws in my free time. Karen, in contrast, showed up in a rhinestone cardigan and a smirk. She brought her husband, Harold, who looked like he hadn't smiled since cable TV stopped being free. In court, things got juicy fast. Her defense? It was just a BB gun. It's not lethal. My lawyer? Then how come the cat is dead, Karen? She blinked like a confused owl. We brought in a vet who confirmed Luna's injuries weren't just an accident. They were from direct, deliberate impact. He showed security footage from a neighbor's Ring camera. Karen taking aim with the focus of a disgruntled Olympic biathlete. We read emails she sent to the HOA saying things like, "Maybe we should make examples of rule breakers." The courtroom gasped like it was the finale of The Bachelor. Karen's lawyer tried to pivot. My client was enforcing community standards. The judge leaned forward. With a weapon? With a tool. We all stared. It was like watching someone try to defend stabbing someone with a butter knife. Because technically it's not a real knife. Outside the courtroom, people held up signs. Equals hold our animals. Aaron shot first. Now today, Meowtho. TikTok ran wild. Luna had her own filter. Someone deep-faked her into a Marvel trailer as the Avenger of Suburbia. Then came the biggest plot twist yet. Turns out Karen had a record. In 2003, she was arrested for, wait for it, throwing soup on a neighbor's dog during a chili cook-off dispute. You cannot make this up. We found the police report. We found the mugshot. We found the local newspaper clipping that said, "Woman accuses Chihuahua of sabotage, flings soup in retaliation." Your Honor, this is not a woman trying to enforce rules. This is a villain origin story. Took 3 days for the jury to deliberate. They awarded me $60,000, 0 cents for emotional distress. $25,000, 0 cents in punitive damages, plus court costs. Karen was ordered to attend animal sensitivity training, perform 200 hours of community service at an animal shelter, and most importantly, publicly apologize. She tried to submit a printed statement. The judge said, "Read it out loud." I have never witnessed a more painful 48 seconds of human speech. She said Luna's name like it burned her throat. She mumbled sorry like it was in a foreign language. And when she looked up, the courtroom was dead silent. Not for her, for Luna. But here's where I got my real revenge. I took $10,000, 0 cents of that settlement money, and bought a billboard at the entrance of our neighborhood. It says, "This community stands for kindness and cats. In loving memory of Luna." Here's a photo of her on a tiny sunglasses sitting in a sunbeam looking like she owns all of us. Because now, she kind of does. So, you'd think after a massive public court loss, a viral billboard, and mandatory community service scrubbing litter boxes at the animal shelter, Karen would take the L and disappear, right? Yeah, me too. But no, Karen is the kind of person who takes a defeat and turns it into a conspiracy. Within a week of her apology, she was back on Nextdoor. Her first post? Some of us are trying to preserve values, not popularity. Oh, then she accused me of manipulating the media and claimed the jury was biased by TikTok culture. Oh, ma'am, you shot a cat. Not even TikTok can twist that into heroism. Meanwhile, Luna's garden became real. Yep, with the portion of my settlement and the help of some very motivated neighbors, we transformed my front lawn into a pet sanctuary. Official name, Luna's Garden of Second Chances. There's a tiny memorial wall with paw prints for lost pets. Benches, engraved with quotes about loyalty, resilience, and fur. A reading nook where local kids can read to shelter animals. And yes, the shelter brings them by twice a month now. Even the mayor came to the ribbon cutting. She said, "This is the most peaceful protest I've ever attended that involved a cat ghost and HOA reform." Karen watched from her driveway the whole time, arms crossed, sunglasses on, like she was attending the funeral of her power. That same week, I got a call from a podcast producer. They wanted me on their show, Neighborhood Nightmares, Real Stories from Real Streets. I said yes. We recorded the episode in one take. Title: The Cat, the Karen, and the HOA that forgot who owned the block. We got 2 million streams in 48 hours. Listeners started calling me the Suburban Avenger. One guy emailed me asking if I wanted to run for city council. Tempting, but no thanks. I like my chaos in story time for. Then came the HOA election. Every year the board seats go up for vote, and for the first time ever, people actually cared. I didn't run. But guess who did? Bucky. Sweet, plant-loving, cardigan-wearing Becky from 2 houses down. The woman who makes lemon bars so good they once stopped an argument mid-sentence. She won by a landslide. Her first act as president? Rewriting the pet policy. All emotional support animals, recognized under federal law, are welcome. Any aggression toward them? Instant expulsion. He also banned BB guns from being stored on visible property. When asked why, she smiled and said, "You only need to shoot something once to realize how not okay that is." Karen tried one last move. She sent out a passive-aggressive letter to the neighborhood with this gem: "I'm stepping away from community leadership to focus on personal wellness. I hope the new direction doesn't compromise our neighborhood's original standards." Yeah, she said that while our front yards were blooming with catnip and fairy lights. My response: I printed her letter, framed it, and hung it in Luna's garden next to a quote that read, "Sometimes the best way to honor peace is to outlast the person who hated it." And honestly, I've never felt more at peace. Luna may be gone, but her presence lingers in every meow that echoes through the garden, every laugh when a kid chases a puppy past the roses, and every side eye I throw when Karen tries to pretend she's just another neighbor now. You don't shoot someone's soul and expect to be forgotten, but you can be forgiven. Eventually. Maybe. It's just not today. A year later, I stood at the edge of Luna's garden holding a cup of coffee, watching the morning sun crawl across the paw-print stones. The garden had become a neighborhood ritual. Every weekend, people came to walk, sit, talk, cry, heal. It wasn't just for pets anymore. It was for everyone who'd ever been silenced, shamed, or shot down, literally or otherwise. Even the city added it to the historic suburban landmarks list, right after Carlton's giant mailbox, and before the strip mall that never opens on time. Luna would have hated the spotlight, but I know she would love the attention. Karen? She still lives here. Only now she's invisible. No more block party speeches. No more HOA announcement. She walks her dog at 6 a.m. Yes, her dog and doesn't look anyone in the eye. I'd feel bad for her if she hadn't tried to shoot empathy out of my life like it was a raccoon in her trash can. Instead, I just nod when I pass her, not out of kindness, out of power, because there's something deeply satisfying about outliving someone's reign over your peace. Oh, and guess what? Last month, a local animal shelter reached out. They want to build a second sanctuary modeled after Luna's garden in the next town over. They asked if I'd be the project lead. I said yes. Of course, I said yes. Because Luna may have been small, but her story turned into a movement. And if one small, sweet cat can take down an entire HOA power trip, and anything's possible. One last thing. The HOA board recently voted to create a new community award. It's given annually to the resident who best represents compassion, resilience, and community care. They named it after Luna. The plaque reads, "In memory of the cat who reminded us that rules should serve people, not punish them." So, that's the story. Moved to the suburbs, thinking I'd find peace. Instead, I found a battlefield. But I fought, and I won. Not just for me, not just for Luna, but for anyone who's ever had their heart stepped on by someone holding a clipboard. If you like this story, and you believe compassion should always beat control, hit that like button, share your own neighborhood drama in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild suburban showdowns. Because, as we've all learned the hard way, you can't fence injustice.